We are living in a time where nobody knows what they look like. Not even celebrities, not influencers, not even us. Plastic surgery, Botox filler, facelifts, blepharoplasties, buccal fat removal are so normalized that even Kris Jenner, someone who is almost 70 years old, can disappear overnight and come back the next morning looking 40 all over again. Selena Gomez can post one selfie and all of a sudden everyone on the internet turns into CSI Beverly Hills BBL edition, gathering together to find out what exactly she did to her face this time. Miley Cyrus doesn't even look like Miley Cyrus anymore. Girl, this is Biley Cyrus. Digital facial dysmorphia and plastic surgery both being on the rise at the same exact time is no coincidence. It's infecting celebrities, your favorite influencers, artists, and even regular schmegular people. It's not a coincidence, it's a symptom. And now everyone's confused, exhausted, and slowly reshaping their faces to fit a standard that's being reshaped just as fast. Hello everybody, it is me, Salem, and welcome back to my commentary Chanel, where I deep dive into the cracks and crevices of the internet to talk to you about things like this.
Selena Gomez's new look. She does not look like the same person at all.
I don't know what people is doing to their faces. Y'all need to stay out that goddamn surgery room.
Is it just me, or do celebrities not look like themselves anymore? And I'm not talking about like, you know, the obvious work where it's like, oh look, Kim Kardashian's on like her 50th facelift, or it's very clear that Ariana Grande got an eyebrow lift and very obvious lip filler in Wicked. No, at this point, it's like instead of fillers or facelifts, celebrities and influencers are disappearing what seems to be overnight and literally coming back into the limelight with a face transplant. Because girl, who is this? Hashtag not my Selena Gomez. Plastic surgery is something that I love talking about on my channel because I'm not someone who is against it, nor am I pro surgery. I've even gone viral in the past for talking about dangerous surgeries like BBLs, as well as stuff like Gen Z and beauty standards. These are things I really enjoy talking about. But I find that throughout the years, as social media becomes more of like this really strong engine that just keeps pumping out content and also pumping out trend after trend, just as that content and stuff becomes super like old news within like 2 milliseconds, I find that faces are now becoming a part of that cycle.
For years, I have talked about how beauty standards have affected our bodies, our weight, our curves, our waist, hips, surgeries that people would go through to have a certain body shape, the lengths that people would go to then lose that body weight. But somewhere along the rise of TikTok skincare culture, ultra HD cameras and filters, the spotlight quickly shifted, and it's not about our bodies under the microscope anymore. It's our faces.
Have you seen Lindsay Lohan lately? Because she is aging in reverse.
Suddenly, beauty isn't about body goals no more. It's about mewing, jawlines, buccal fat, eyelid shapes, cantle tilts, and just new insecurities hoes be making up every now and then. These are things I've talked about for years, right? So what makes this so different? Well, here's the difference. Trends and body types come and go, but the face is bone. It's flesh, bruh. It's structure. Once you start shaving down your cartilage and bone for that V-shaped line that's popular now, these aren't just trends you can just grow out of. It's almost permanent. This is how we get to a place where people start to look almost unrecognizable. We're reaching a point where plastic surgery just doesn't enhance. Not a little nip or tuck here. Girl, these are full freaking clones of basically people that we've seen for years. These are the Temu versions. It's becoming unmistakable, surreal, and low-key dystopian. Sometimes it feels like we're one step away from the Hunger Games capital becoming real, where people intentionally make themselves look extreme, alien, and unhuman just to stand out in a society obsessed with reinvention. But that's a point I'll get back to later.
And I think the scariest thing about that is that we have now become accustomed to plastic surgery and filler and facelift blindness.
So many people are getting such extreme procedures done, and it's almost become a little too normalized that we've developed this cultural blindness where we can't tell who's had work done and who hasn't because everyone looks suspiciously poorly symmetrical and just enhanced. It's kind of crazy that half the time we don't even know the name of these procedures yet. Are these clones? Do some of these celebrities just have a secret yassified twin? Did Kris Jenner sacrifice another child and gathered their blood to look young again? Why does everyone look different?
And it seems like the main person who is always at the forefront of this conversation is none other than Miss Selena Gomez.
So I wanted to add something different, especially for the Teen Vogue party.
It's Alex Russo herself. 'Cause everything is not as it seems. That's literally Selena Gomez in her addiction to plastic surgery arc right now.
Allegedly.
Most recently, Selena Gomez went viral for releasing a new song. And although the song slapped, it seems like the only thing that the internet cared about was actually how she looked in the music video. And a lot of people were acting very, very shocked at her appearance. People were taken back, people were gooped, they were gagged, they were shooketh, okay? The house down boots, if you will. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shook too, because girl, who is this? It seems like Selena Gomez in particular seems to be someone who looks different from day to day.
Look guys, I am not a big fan of Selena Gomez. I've literally made a video all about her and the mess that was Amelia Perez. But this is one of those topics that are way more complicated than I like her or I don't like her. You can criticize someone's actions and their decisions and their character. That's fair. But what's not fair is criticizing someone's face, body, or medical side effects like it's a personality trait. I believe in calling people out for what they do, not what they look like. You don't have to love Selena to admit that the internet has been weirdly cruel about her face. Two things can be true at once, especially because
her face has been a topic of discussion in pop culture for a very, very long time. And it seems like now it has just boiled over to people just saying like, girl, are you even you at this point? The reason why Selena Gomez keeps popping up in this conversation is because of three factors, all right? The first factor being her face seems to change a lot because of her diagnosis, which is lupus, which can cause inflammation, which can cause weight gain or weight loss. It can also cause what is called a cortisol or moon-shaped face, which is very rounded. And many people speculate that the reason why her face tends to shift and look different every now and then is because, you know, as someone with chronic illness, you wake up feeling completely different than the next day, which can affect how you look. The second reason is because a lot of people speculate that she actually has gone a lot of surgery that has nothing to do with her diagnosis. A lot of people are like, girl, lupus doesn't cause a chin implant and lip filler. And then there's some people who are saying that she's had so much plastic surgery and filler that she is no longer herself and that she's actually a clone, and now they're labeling it something called a demon face, and that it's actually like a secret humiliation Hollywood ritual, and she killed the old Selena Gomez. And I'm just like, girl, some of y'all need to go outside to touch grass, because what? Plus, the only clone theory I believe is the Avril Lavigne one, okay? Selena Gomez is someone that we kind of grew up with since she was an itty bitty child doing the Barney show, to her acting in Wizards of Waverly Place, to her music in Selena Gomez and the Scene, to her launching her rare beauty campaigns, to the Selena that we know now. Growing up, I remember the topic of conversation around Selena Gomez was that she was very, very beautiful. She was the it girl. Growing up, I remember so many people tried convincing us that she was like overweight, or I remember people and even magazines would criticize her face shape and how she looked.
people calling her pancake face, saying her face looked puffy, it looked too big. Even to this day, some people edit Selena Gomez's face shape to look bigger than it actually is. And this is the thing, this isn't just a Selena Gomez problem. This is what I call
the curse of being a round-faced girly.
Being a round-faced girly, it comes with very specific criticism. I mean, I myself am a round-faced girly and have received the same exact type of criticism. You cannot escape the round-faced girly curse so easily. And the only way to break this round-faced girly curse is to get buccal fat removal or transform your face until you are completely unrecognizable so that people can stop saying that you look fat, bloated, and ugly. Like, y'all, this has me stressed out. You guys know when I'm stressed out, I gotta take a relaxation gummy, okay? Thank you to Vina Gummies for sponsoring today's video. You know I already overthink everything. You guys know this. Sometimes I need like to force myself to relax. That is where Vina Gummies come in. The ones that I have is the Lights Out Extra Strength Sleep Gummies. It worked. It knocked me out so good. I woke up feeling so refreshed. And the best part is that they actually taste good too. This is in the flavor blackberry. No weird aftertaste. Also only 10 calories and 2 grams of sugar. They're both THC and CBD, third-party tested, no artificial dyes or fake sweeteners. Yes, I actually checked the label, y'all. And if you're over 21, you can actually try them for free. Just pay shipping with my link below. Seriously, free, just shipping. Whether you need to chill out after a long day, whether you need help sleeping because Lord knows the world is so chaotic and we all need to take a break and need some rest, these gummies do both, okay? She is that girl. So if your brain also has 37 tabs open like me, grab some Vina Gummies and treat yourself. Anyways, back to
the curse of being a round-faced girly.
Selena Gomez isn't just a round-faced girly. Selena Gomez was the round-faced girly in social media. Full cheeks, high cheekbones, soft jawline, and for fellow round-faced girlies like us, she felt super comforting. Being a soft-faced girl in this era, or it seems like from the beginning of time, comes with a very specific type of criticism. They're treated like a flaw. I mean, we are literally the opposite of the gaunt, buccal fat removal, sharp model look that was once very desirable at the peak of ED culture and is back again, which makes sense as to why Selena Gomez's face is always in conversation nowadays in pop culture yet again. As round-faced girlies, we are deemed as very healthy looking, youthful, and just not in that realm. However, whenever ED culture really makes its way back, round faces are seen as something less desirable, and in fact are criticized as being too healthy looking. One might just say that you look very big, you look puffy, you look bloated. I do think that this goes hand in hand with the criticism of Latina, Indigenous, Native, Asian, or mixed features, which honestly comes off as very racist. And now all the round-faced girlies we grew up with are disappearing. I mean, Miley Cyrus was one of them. Same with Dove Cameron, and even now Sabrina Carpenter, and especially Selena, all of which have gotten some sort of very invasive surgeries on their face to look more thin, smaller, or just less round. This has directly contributed to so many young people's, and even my, facial dysmorphia, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Selena Gomez has also suffered from something like this. Which is crazy because, just to be clear, there's nothing wrong with round faces, sharp faces, or any shape at all. Our faces aren't the problem. The beauty industry keeps deciding only one kind of face is in, and everyone else has to catch up in some sort of way, even if it means rushed surgeries that look very obvious, or even extreme measures such as facelifts and buccal fat removal, or achieving extreme weight loss so that your face does look like that. And we know right now that losing an insane amount of weight till you look gaunt is being praised like crazy right now because it fits closer to the current beauty standard. And as a round-faced girly, you don't hear the end of it. When I was on my weight loss journey, that was the first thing so many people talked about. I remember I shared a picture of myself on my YouTube timeline going to a Bad Bunny concert, and someone commented, "Your face looks smaller. It's actually really nice." And I didn't forget that. Being a round-faced girly means that your face will always be at the forefront of every conversation when it comes to beauty.
And now Selena Gomez looks like this and people have something to say about it. Every face Selena Gomez has ever had, people have commented on it. And I think what people don't realize is that that in itself has 100% probably affected her decisions in touching her face. Which, first of all, I'm very big on, like, if someone wants to get work done, they should. Who cares? It's their body. It's their choice. However, when does plastic surgery get from this to this? And when is it all about trying to feel good? And then when is it just straight up digital facial dysmorphia? So if you guys don't know, there is such thing as body dysmorphia as well as facial dysmorphia. Body dysmorphic disorder is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about their flaws in their appearance. These flaws are often unnoticeable to others. People of any age can have BDD, but it's most common in teenagers and young adults. It affects both women and men, but it does affect women more often. Now, obviously, we cannot diagnose people, but there is an actual science behind the rise of facial dysmorphia, which is essentially the same idea as body dysmorphia, but with your face. More specifically, with the rise of iPhone face, Instagram filters, and the fear of being perceived in Gen Z, it has led to like an astronomical number of people having facial dysmorphia, or at least some sort of symptoms or tendencies of viewing themselves and just hating what they see, wanting to get a nose job, feeling the need, not the want, the need to get a facelift or Botox or do something about their face. And it has been proven that more than ever, young people and women and even men are being diagnosed with facial and body dysmorphia, where people look at themselves and are like, why don't I look like a Snapchat filter? I need to look like a Snapchat filter. In fact, there's also a phenomenon where people who do have this will go to plastic surgeons and everything and show a plastic surgeon how they look like in a Snapchat filter or Instagram filter and be like, how can I look like this in real life?
Cosmetic procedures are becoming so popular with teens, plastic surgeons have coined a new syndrome for it, Snapchat dysmorphia.
There is a rush to be perfect, and there's a rush to be perfect now, as soon as possible. I don't find it a coincidence that this is around the time that, you know, the term iPhone face became a thing. If you guys don't know what iPhone face is, it's basically basically this term that describes when an actor or person in period pieces look too modern to be in that period piece. They have very smooth skin, they have very snatched brows. And this is becoming a lot more common in period pieces, but it's also becoming a lot more common on TikTok and Instagram and just in social media and even in real life in general.
All of this to say, it's not just erasing the round face girlies, it's erasing timeless faces, unique faces, iconic faces, the faces that we grew up with that are no longer recognizable. And no, it's not due to aging or weight loss. They're dying out due to these phenomenons. Or the everyday faces that we see. We go to like, I don't know, Trader Joe's or something. Faces that we use to define old Hollywood, classic supermodels, 2000s rom-com stars, faces with character, asymmetry, softness, quirks, are completely dying out. Now everyone is looking like the same AI generated template. And if every face is becoming identical, then what do our faces even represent anymore? This is the root of our facial identity crisis, which also ties into the rise of the fear of being perceived on social media.
Most importantly, the fear to be perceived as wrong or ugly or unphotogenic. Alongside the rise of digital facial dysmorphia and also invasive plastic surgeries and the rush to get surgeries, there's also a rise in technology that is feeding that, because we literally only perceive ourselves through camera lens or photos that our mom posts of us on Facebook. And yes, I'm not gonna lie, why are mothers so prone to getting the most craziest, weirdest, hideous photos of you ever and they post it on Facebook? I don't know, so I don't blame you guys on that. I will say, however, on a regular day-to-day basis, such as opening TikTok, it doesn't help that every single day there seems to be some sort of facial checking trend or filter.
TikTok trends like the facial symmetry checks, jawline tests, side profile challenges, inverted face filters. We're no longer just looking at our faces, we're analyzing them like a freaking, science project. We as humans have evolved from being hyper aware of our faces to now being on the constant hunt for flaws. And the more we look, the more we find or think we find something that isn't good enough, sharp enough, stretched enough, plump enough.
I mean, this is literally why we have a massive rise in people in the looks maxing community, which I did a whole video on here. And then as a response to that, people called me ugly, said that I needed to get surgery and that I wasn't pretty enough to be talking about that topic, which is super ironic.
Even when you're trying to bring awareness to this topic, you get hit with a lot of backlash. Trust me, I know, as someone who's been talking about facial and body dysmorphia for years, it comes with a lot of criticism. And throughout the years, I've noticed that the response always evolves into something different. It's no longer, Salem's a hypocrite for talking about this. Look, she's wearing false eyelashes. It's now become,
You are nothing. You are not allowed to speak on this topic. Look at you. How dare you?
like, damn, bitch, calm down. It used to be that I was too pretty to talk about the topic, and now I'm not pretty enough. You guys need to make up your damn minds. We have evolved into being unattractive or ugly, not being synonymous with being imperfect. It's synonymous with being a moral failure. Because we've become so vain and self-conscious as a society, we started to directly tie our identity, morals, and everything to our outer appearance. Gen Z often gets the criticism that they don't know who they are outside of their phones, and I kind of slightly agree. But more so, I feel like we just don't know who we are outside of our reflection. So they cling to it, edit it, they surgery it away, apologize for it, or panic when it changes or doesn't fit the current beauty standard. And that's why being supposedly ugly isn't seen as just looking different, it's seen as a personal mistake, a lack of effort, a lack of identity. Which is why we're in a facial identity crisis literally right now. It's not just a facial identity crisis, it is just an identity crisis, period.
Whether it's trying to mew, whether it's chewing gum to sharpen the jawline, whether it's literally people telling other people that it's game over and that you should essentially just go plane traffic if you don't look like Bella Hadid, which is beyond crazy. TikTok filter trends like True Mirror, the inverted filter or bold glamour, or the aging filter or a facial symmetry check has single-handedly destroyed Gen Z's self-esteem and has definitely made people feel like they need to rush to get stuff fixed, right? Oh, your other nostril is a little bit lower than your other right nostril. Nose job. You need a nose job. The right side of your face that you sleep on is a little bit droopier than your left side. Girl, go to Dubai. Get a facelift right now. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? You need to get it fixed. This is how you're gonna look like when you're older? Girl, you need to put on sunscreen right now. We literally live in a culture that everyone is in competition and everyone's in the rush to fix something that does not even exist yet, which leads to the rise of crazy procedures that look crazy because there's nothing there to fix. There's really nothing there to fix. Not yet, at least.
Somewhere along the way, we stopped being all about enhancing what we already have, and it became about preventing what might happen. It's like we're scared of aging, but we're also scared of just looking supposedly what society has made up as wrong. We used to think about skincare as moisturizer, maybe some eye cream, but now 12-year-olds are invading Sephora using retinol at like freaking 7. People getting baby Botox at 21 and microneedling every 3 months just to avoid something that has not yet happened. Preventative care, preventative procedures, it's become super huge to the point where there are people at 25 years old who are going viral for getting a facelift, a procedure that is mostly done around people who are like 60 years old. This is how deep it goes, y'all. This is how deep our facial identity crisis is going and how our identity crisis period is going. We're not even fixing problems anymore or what are seen as problems. We're fighting imaginary demons, bruh. And it's not making us happier or more confident. It's making us so paranoid. Girl, this ain't self-care no more. It's self-surveillance.
There were people filming themselves crying, y'all. Crying, reacting to how they look like in the TikTok true mirror trend, which is just how people see you. People saying that, oh my God, I'm so ugly. People panicking, people deleting their videos because they think they look so ugly because people finally saw themselves from a different angle, or worse, how they believed other people actually saw them, which is wrong, which is ugly. And Gen Z trusts strangers' perceptions of their face more than their own. The rise of these AI filters and facial checking trends and the obsession with improving your face as fast as possible, I honestly don't think it has to do with that much of the digital facial dysmorphia, but more so the facial identity crisis and the just plain out identity crisis that a lot of us are just facing in general right now, even including the rich folk such as Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, and other people that you see look completely different, like literally within a span of like a fortnight. Mirrors aren't the enemy. Our identity crisis is. Humans weren't meant to be staring at themselves this long, and yet we do. And now TikTok is telling us, actually, this is how you actually look to other people, and it's a problem if you're not super symmetrical and look like Bella Hadid. Like, girl, does that make sense to you guys? And suddenly people panic because their face is unfamiliar to them. And when people feel insecurity in themselves, not being able to trust their own reflection anymore, it genuinely leads to the never-ending chase of trying to chase a version of yourself that people deem acceptable and likable the most. A study found that in a sample of young adults, 24% of participants met the criteria for significant body and facial dysmorphic symptoms, especially tied heavily to Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok filters. For general population, the estimated prevalence of a diagnosed disorder is between 2%, but higher in youth. One industry brief reported that 72% of teenagers who are actively on social media feel pressured to look perfect because of social media, and 75% believe beauty standards on social media are very, very high. This all around the time where a global survey found that there was a 41% increase in aesthetic procedures over the last 4 years. The global cosmetic surgery market size valued at roughly a $56.94 billion in 2024, and it's projected to grow even more to $76 billion by 2032. Gen Z is the first generation to kind of grow up with a front-facing camera. Older generations had a morality identity crisis, and we're having a beauty crisis, okay? How do I look like when I talk? Is my nose too big from this angle? Why don't I look like Adriana Lima? Girl, calm down. Why? Because appearance has become the fastest, loudest form of identity for Gen Z. Online, you aren't rewarded for being kind. You are rewarded for being captivating, for being the main character, which we all know that a lot of people in Gen Z suffer from main character syndrome. Let's just be honest. Gen Z learned early that your face is your resume, your body is your brand, and your beauty is your belonging. That is the root of Gen Z's facial and body and beauty identity crisis. We don't know who we are outside of how we look, and we don't know who or how or what we are outside of how we're perceived. And when perception becomes more real than reality, dysmorphia isn't a glitch, it's a consequence. It's not necessarily vanity. I feel like a lot of people accuse people like Kylie Jenner, Selena Gomez, Miley Cyrus, Kim Kardashian, accusing a lot of these people as being, oh, they're vain, they're shallow, they failed morally. But how can someone fail morally when literally the current identity crisis is literally you won't be considered good or good enough unless you match the standards on the outside? It's so weird because being unattractive is considered like a moral failure nowadays. There's a very, very excellent video that I would love the majority of my audience to go see. It's called If Being Pretty is a Privilege, Then Being Ugly is a Curse. And this creator by the name of Uller Enadi, sorry if I completely butchered that, but essentially it's a very in-depth documentary-like video essay / in-depth research video about how ugly people are treated basically worse than ever now in society. Well, they always have, but now where beauty is considered almost like this thing that everyone wants, being ugly is almost like a crime. It's a crime. It's like, how dare you? So it's literally just like this never-ending loop of you're ugly. What are you going to do about it? Then you do something about it, but there's something else to fix. Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that? And then you eventually end up looking like this, which ironically is also considered a moral failing and a moral sin. It is also considered bad for you to try to be attractive. The demonization of plastic surgery, facelifts, Botox, and fillers is one that has been villainized for years. The internet tells celebrities to be open and honest about what they get done because people are sick of them lying and making a beauty standard that no one can achieve. And then they do talk about all the work that they've gotten done, and then they're bashed for it anyways. I think that this definitely ties into Gen Z's obsession with effortless beauty. There is a cult of effortless beauty, and no one seems to really talk about it, and it's just as toxic as the narrative of getting stuff done to be effortless. Let me explain. The rise of skin tints, lip stains, blowouts at home just to look effortless is literally just as performative as telling people to be happy with yourselves. It's like telling people you should be happy with how you look, but also put in effort. But also if you put in effort, that's kind of cringe because you should be effortlessly beautiful. But don't put too much effort either, or else you're going to look crazy and then we're going to body shame you. It's like, girl, what? The goalpost of the beauty standards have surpassed all sorts of evolutions. It has literally evolved to you must be hot without looking like you tried. Because if it's too noticeable that you have tried to fit into the ever morphing beauty standard, you're going to be called botched. Essentially, you're going to be told that you are a hypocrite, that you don't deserve to feel confident, and that your beauty is invalid. The amount of times I've heard people actively say out loud that if you get filler, Botox, and like plastic surgery, that your beauty isn't valid is so crazy, because many times these are people who are just trying to fit the beauty standard to begin with. So it's basically like a lose situation. And I think this is what is literally fueling the facial identity crisis, that no one knows how to win. It literally seems impossible to win. And it also doesn't help that Gen Z is obsessed with humbling people. The amount of times I've seen people who just feel confident post an outfit or like a maybe somewhat cringy thirst trap, and people are in the comments like, oh my god, guys, remember to be nice. Oh my god, you're so confident. Do flowers bloom where you walk? Or I'm just making sure everyone's being nice in the comments. It's so passive aggressive mean girl attitude that if you dare to try to feel confident, whether you have filler or don't, Gen Z in the comment section loves to humble your ass. Just recently, there was a viral video of this young black girl who was just doing like a fun, cute video. And sure, maybe it was a little cringe because I just think all sorts of thirst traps or like stuff like that is just a little bit kind of cringe. It's just not my cup of tea. It's not the content that I want to watch. But it was something like, I need to stop looking at people like this. And she's like looking into the distance and like clearly she's a very cute girl, but so many people made fun of her, basically saying like, so you think that you're cute enough to give people that look? LMAO. Even though, yeah, sis is that cute to be giving people that look. But Gen Z cannot let people be confident. They just can't. They need to humble them and remind them, oh, you don't look like this person and you don't have this done and you don't represent what we consider attractive, so therefore you're cringe. And so many people actually came to the defense of this girl by saying, man, I feel so bad that so many people are making fun of her because she probably just felt pretty. What's really weird is that being unique is the new beauty standard, but you can't be unique enough because then people will call you a Gucci model, which is apparently code word for being ugly or not conventionally attractive, which I mean, who cares? They're the ones who are models at the end of the day, not you, but I digress. But that is just as damaging. People get as much hate for looking too basic, and now people are getting hate for looking too unique. So what is it? We're stuck in a beauty paradox. We want beauty to be inclusive, but also exclusive enough to stay desirable. We want everyone to be beautiful, but also uniquely beautiful. We preach all body types matter, but still worship the same Ozempic 1% Victoria's Secret model built type people whose beauty looks effortless and completely untouched, despite it also being completely touched and not effortless and high maintenance. But we're also against fillers and also Botox and the stuff you need to do in order to put in effort to be beautiful. And it seems like the only way to escape this paradox is one, deal with the consequence of being ugly, you uggo, or change. But don't change too much because that's the wrong decision too. And the reason why I wanted to make this video and talk about this is because I am someone who also went through this. This is what I used to look like when my PCOS and my chronic illness and my mental health was at its absolute worst. I was almost 220 pounds and my body was shutting down every day from chronic stress, mold toxicity, and God knows what else I had. I was exhausted, I was sick, and I was barely functioning. I now look like this. And I get the comment a lot that I look completely different and that people just miss my old face and body, even though I am healthier, happier, and a lot more confident. I went on a very strict diet. I lost a good amount of weight. I also got some Botox, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I think people should be more open to it, despite me probably still gonna get hate for that. And somehow this is the version of me right now that has gotten the most criticism I have ever gotten in my entire YouTube career. Suddenly I'm a sellout. I'm a hypocrite. People say I turned into one of those girls. The same people who used to call me ugly are now calling me a basic bitch. Too polished, too artificial. She tried, and we can tell that she tried, and that's a sin. She needs to be effortless. Once I started to look put together, people stopped believing my pain and my story and my diagnoses were real. All of a sudden, I am a neurotypical person who has never struggled at all in her life. People assume that I don't suffer still to this day with PCOS, which, very unfortunate news, I still do suffer with that every single day. I am in pain. Help! Help! People didn't just start questioning my appearance. People started to question my morality and my self-identity and who I truly was. People called me all types of names for talking about beauty standards and making videos like this while also participating in them, as if two things can't be true at once. Sometimes we change ourselves and our bodies to survive in them, especially in a society that is very, very cruel. One of the first comments I've ever gotten on my YouTube channel was actually about how my skin was bad, my hair was ugly, and that I needed to lose weight. Those comments persisted for a very, very long time. People would tell me that my face, when at the height of my inflammation, looked like it was stung by bees and I needed to do something about it. So here I am, a couple of years later, I did something about it and it's still wrong. Here's another truth. The beauty industry can still be toxic and predatory. Why is it so hard to believe that people can both hold a mirror to the system while trying to survive it? When people dissect you long enough, you stop feeling human. And maybe this is the causation to people saying people nowadays have demon face, whereas I would just call it being completely unrecognizable because they don't know where to start, but they also don't know when to stop. We tell women to love their natural beauty, but then call them boring when they do. We tell them not to get work done, But if they do, we call them fake. Our it girls also do have surgery, but we don't mention that, aka Bella Hadid. If you are naturally beautiful, then, well, you're just pretentious. This video feels different. You probably noticed my cadence is different. You probably noticed that a lot of these talking points are a little bit redundant, but this is because I'm exhausted, man. I'm exhausted talking about this topic, and I think that exhaustion is being felt by our entire culture right now, including celebrities and influencers, and also everyday people with or without platforms. People are exhausted of playing the game because the game is rigged and there's no way to win. And instead of raising awareness and having productive conversations about this, we feed into it by making even more subcultures about why you are wrong and how to fix this. And did you know that you have a bad negative cantle kilt shelf or whatever? My dyslexia just got the best of me. Did you know that you have this? This is a new insecurity that you should be in charge of and everything. I have a lot of sympathy for people who constantly change themselves because I know that it's a greater symptom of society and the freaking out of not knowing what to do and how to get it right. At some point, we forget this. Our bodies and faces are not up for a community discussion. It's a very touchy and difficult conversation to have because celebrities are actively the ones who are partaking in these trends and even feeding into the very beauty standards that is actively damaging them back. But again, I do believe two things can be true at once. Our face and bodies were never meant to be changing this much. This is why it seems like everyone looks completely different or in a rush to do the new surgery to get this done and everything. The way I would best describe it is, you know, that one episode where Patrick is trying to build, I think it was SpongeBob, a new house, and then he starts trying to he's licking and panically trying to build this thing all while it's falling apart. That's literally us with our faces and bodies.
And I think we can all feel the fatigue rising in all of us. Even I feel it. The chase to perfection is exhausting. And this whole culture surrounding at-home 50-step skincare routines and at-home beauty rituals are just as exhausting. All that to supposedly look effortless when we're putting in all of the effort possible while burning out at the same time. Especially because at this point, none of us really know what perfect is even supposed to look like anymore. Every year, the perfect face changes. It used to be soft, natural. Now it's razor sharp jawlines, looking like a Tim Burton character. So what are we even chasing at this point? It's like perfection keeps updating itself and we're expected to update our faces with it like the damn iPhone 11D7. And honestly, this is why Selena Gomez is such an important part of this conversation, because she isn't just a celebrity. I genuinely feel like she's the mirror of how our culture treats faces. She was the round-faced girly who was loved for looking real. Until real stopped being enough, people edited her face, analyzed her swelling from lupus like it was a crime, accused her of surgery when she changed, and then mocked her when she didn't, and then mocked her again when she did get surgery. She represents exactly where we are right now as a culture, a world where your face isn't just your face anymore. It's a debate, it's a trend, it's public property, which is why I wanted to actually bring someone in who understands this better than me. Lori Hill. She's known for breaking down facial changes with honesty, compassion, and with zero cruelty. So I reached out to her and I asked her to share her thoughts on Selena Gomez, facial trends, and whether the perfect face, honestly at this point, even exists.
Hello to all of Salem's audience. You guys are seriously some of the most intellectual commenters on YouTube, and I love Salem's content and her as a creator, so it is such an honor to be here. Let's talk about Selena Gomez and this idea of the perfect face. Selena said back in 2019 that whenever she went on Instagram, she always felt awful. Her words were, "Every time I go on, I feel like shit." So she deleted it from her phone and her assistant now manages it for her. Now that was 6 years ago, and I can only imagine how she feels now being picked apart and scrutinized maliciously online. So in 2020, I did an analysis of Selena's face. And if you're not familiar with my analysis, I always make sure to never put the celebrity down and say things in a non-judgmental and matter-of-fact way as they appear on the face. And it's always just my opinion only. And I also really discourage negative comments. So I analyzed her having a surgical or Botox brow lift, lip filler in both her upper and lower lips, buccal fat removal, and very subtle rhinoplasty. And it's been 5 years now. I've seen more significant work done. There appears to be additional brow work, a possible revision brow lift, or a more extreme type of lift throughout the whole face, and a likely blepharoplasty to her upper eyelids, and quite possibly another more obvious rhinoplasty or nose job. This isn't an exhaustive list, and I will be doing a full detailed analysis on my channel because everyone's been asking me for one. But what stands out to me is the pattern of operating on the same facial features: her brows, her nose, her lips, and cheeks. I'm genuinely surprised by the number of procedures that have seemed to have taken place in the last 5 years since I've analyzed Selena. Now, I believe that not only is Gen Z looking to her as an example of the perfect face, but that Selena herself has taken on that pressure. To me, it feels like she's caught in a loop of refinement facial procedures, trying to find that one version of her face that everyone will agree is beautiful and everyone will finally accept. What's hard to watch is how all of this seems to echo what Gen Z is feeling about themselves. They seem to be chasing filter-like perfection that doesn't really exist, because it belongs to their phone filter, not to reality. And Selena's face being so scrutinized is of interest to me because it represents this societal false belief. The idea that if you make the right changes, that you can become this perfect version of yourself that you'll believe is beautiful and that everyone else will agree is beautiful. But that's a total illusion. The perfect faces we see online are part lighting, part makeup, and part technology. If I were advising Selena personally, I would tell her not to bend to the public's suggestions or whatever society currently calls beautiful. I'd tell her to reconnect with her natural beauty traits. Look at past and present photos of herself and fall in love with her natural features that haven't been changed before making any more changes. She was and still is a naturally beautiful woman. If someone as admired and successful as Selena doesn't feel safe in their own face and body, what does that say about the pressure on the rest of us? So is the perfect face even attainable? I don't believe it is, because perfect keeps changing. You're not one surgery or one treatment away from perfection, because it's this moving target that's shaped by filters, trends, and opinions. Maybe the answer is not to stop chasing it, but recognizing how much of it was never real to begin with. Thank you for your time, and thank you to Salem for having me.
Thank you so much to Lori for being part of this video and helping us answer the question if the perfect face is even attainable. And well, guys, there you have it. No, it's not attainable. So why do we keep searching for it?
Here's the great news. You don't owe anyone anything. You don't owe anyone symmetry, youth, effortlessness, or perfection. You owe yourself a life that is lived in the face that you have and the body that you have, not fighting against it. And if you want to change it, go ahead. Just do so healthily and within healthy boundaries. It's kind of ironic because we're a generation taking more pictures of ourselves more than ever, and more pictures of ourselves more than anyone in the history of photography and just in general. And yet somehow we've never felt less sure of ourselves and what we look like and what we should look like. Maybe the solution isn't to stop caring, but maybe it's to start seeing ourselves without the filters, seeing each other as imperfect human beings, and being all right with that. We started this video asking why Selena Gomez's face becomes national news every time she posts a selfie, why Miley Cyrus doesn't even look like Miley Cyrus, why Kris Jenner looks better than me even when I try to drink enough water and mind my damn business. But maybe the real answer isn't about surgery, Botox, or filters. Maybe it's this: seeing faces not as trends, but as timelines of being alive. And I think right now, what this current timeline is telling us is that nothing is ever good enough. And that's such a sad thing to think about. When people look back at this timeline of beauty, that people are in a rush to just get it right, when you don't have to. Bodies and faces weren't meant to be that. They're meant to be your friends, not an enemy, something for you to hate. Trust me, that's coming from someone who has actually suffered with BDD. At the end of the day, Selena, Miley Cyrus, Kris Jenner, Kim Kardashian, and all of us Influencers, artists alike, and all of us are just trying to do the same thing. Hold onto our faces long enough to recognize ourselves in them. We've become way too focused on trying to quickly build a face that is memorable, a face that people will love and accept. Maybe the real crisis isn't that celebrities don't look like themselves or that we're having a facial dysmorphic epidemic or a facial identity crisis. It's that we don't know who we are without a face that is currently being accepted by society or that the internet approves of. We've become so focused on building a face that other people will love that we forget to build a self-identity that we can love, the core of our being. We don't ask who am I, we ask how do we look. You don't find identity by editing your face, you find it by using it, by laughing with it, aging in it, crying in it, showing up in it. Sure, maybe doing some stuff in it that you want, but you won't find your identity in it because faces aren't meant to say perfect. They're meant to witness you becoming someone, whoever you decide to be. It's time to fuel our self-identity, to invest in ourselves. And I know Gen Z perceives that investing in yourselves as a code word for glowing up 100 facial masks and this, that. Like, no, bitch, learn how to fucking crochet or something. Do something that genuinely makes you feel like a good person, and you'll slowly start to find that you feel beautiful and you feel loved and you love yourself. We have now gone backwards, where instead of us trying to evolve ourselves as people, we keep trying to evolve the outside. But maybe it's just time to grow into a face that truly feels like yours, one that matches your soul.
Tend to hold a lot of water weight, and that happens very normally. And then when I'm off of it, I tend to kind of lose weight. I just wanted to say and encourage anyone out there who feels any sort of shame for exactly what they're going through, and nobody knows the real story. So I just want people to know that you're beautiful and you're wonderful. And yeah, we have days where maybe we feel like shit, but I would much rather be healthy and take care of myself, and my medications are important, and I believe they are what helps me. So that's it. This is getting a little too much, but I just wanted to tell you I love you guys, and thanks for supporting me and understanding. And if not, go away, because honestly, I don't believe in shaming people for body or anything.